Training for a triathlon is hard enough. Doing it while living full-time in an RV and moving around the country every couple of weeks adds an extra element of complication. Welcome back to another Real Talk Saturday bike ride. We're in Hohenwald, Tennessee today. The Motive app today is calling for a 2-hour bike ride, and I'm feeling pretty good. I think we're gonna try for the full 2 hours. There we are, 84 miles to Nashville. I don't think we're gonna make it the whole way. I do have a new camera mount on the bike today. It's sitting a little lower on the handlebars, but when I put it on the handlebars, took the opportunity to rotate the handlebars back. We'll see if that helped with the shoulder pain. Let's talk about the workouts from last week. Training for a triathlon is hard enough. Doing it while living full-time in an RV and moving around the country every couple of weeks adds an extra element of complication. There's a nice little lake at this RV park. So Monday morning, Coach and I went down to the water for a swim. Really the first time I've tried to do the proper swim workout since the back injury. It went very well. We did about 1,000 meters. Felt really good. The water's warm. The heat was challenging this week. It was 105 on Monday, 108 on Tuesday. Tuesday was a strength workout. I tried to tackle that fairly early before it got too warm. I put my weight vest on again, went for a hike. I think we did about 35 or 40 minutes. I enjoy rucking. It's a fun exercise. And it's always a nice reminder when I throw that weight vest on that I have actually lost weight and it's made life easier. Wednesday's exercise was cut short. That was my interval bike ride. And that 3-kilometer ride from our trailer site out to the main road has a lot of short, steep hills. And I mean steep. I'm topping 60 kilometers an hour rolling down the hills, but I thought it'd be great for my interval ride. And I was down riding along the beach. I hit either a large crack in the asphalt or a large rock that I did not see, but I felt the thump on the rear tire and thought to myself, wow, that's the kind of bump that gets you a flat tire. 100 yards later, my rear tire was flat. I was really short on time that day. I only had half an hour to get my workout in, so I didn't have time to change the tube and get back out and finish the ride. We just shut it down for the day. Thursday, I had my interval run. This RV park that we're at has a running track. It's in a little bit of rough shape, but it's definitely a running track. And that was really fun to be able to go out there and do my interval run on the track, because this week's interval run was a ladder run, 35 minutes long, 7 5-minute segments, and I was pretty pleased that I completed that entire 35-minute running workout on pace and on target. And during that last 5-minute faster section, I was averaging a little bit too fast actually. It was calling for a 7:55 to 8:10 kilometer, and I was in the 7:40 for most of that. So I think what I need to do is another 3-kilometer time trial. I think after, what has it been, 14 weeks, almost 4 months of training, my 3K race pace is a little bit higher than what the Motive app currently has programmed into it, which makes sense because those recovery runs at this point should be light jogs, and my 105% race effort should probably be in the low 7s. There was a time trial on the schedule, I think for last week or the week before. Because of the back injury, I did skip it, but I might substitute that in. I skipped the workout on Friday, as I alluded to. We took a road trip yesterday to Memphis because all Coach and her brother have wanted to do since the day we started this full-time RV trip. It was the Bass Pro Pyramid, Memphis, Tennessee. All of America at their fingertips, and they wanted to go to a Bass Pro shop. Now I know I've raised them right. Good segue into the diet update, because on that road trip, excess calories were consumed, but it wasn't too bad. Gail this morning showed 325 pounds on the nose. My portion control game has been on point. Friday before we left that road trip, my weight was 322.8, which is flirting with an all-time low. The only time I was ever lower than that was back in April, right after I did that sardine fast. I hit 322.6. So again, the day-to-day fluctuations aren't too important, even though admittedly I get caught up in them from time to time. But what I discovered on the Renfro app, which is kind of cool, is if you zoom out on the timeline to the year timeline, the numbers that it shows on the graph is the average weight for that month, which is a much more accurate way of looking at this. We're not trying to cut weight for a boxing match. We're trying to change our life. It's been a steady downtrend, except for the first part of the year, that bump up to 340. But like I said, my carnivore journey hasn't been perfect. But since then, it's been a pretty steady decrease down to April. And that was the whole time we were tracking ketones and Dr. Boz ratios with our Keto Mojos, really staying on point. So you can see that did work. And then I bottomed out there in April. And that's when I got the idea, because I'd lost so much weight and I really wanted to start doing triathlons. As we got into May, that's when I started triathlon training, being a little less cautious and careful about what I ate, focusing on protein, but not really dialing back the fat or the occasional carbohydrates. The caloric intake exploded, and you can see that the weight came on in May and June, and that leads us to where we are today. Stricter portion control, steady weight loss. Pretty happy with that. I don't know if the handlebar rotation helped. I just ticked over 10K, 33 minutes. My hands are going numb. And something else I'm trying on this bike ride was I brought snacks. Now, I'm not really one for processed food, but I really don't know what else to bring that's handy and convenient. So I grabbed these at the RV park store this morning. Quest chocolate chip cookie dough protein bars. 21 grams of protein, 22 grams of total carbohydrates, 190 calories. So I brought 2 of them. That's 400 calories. It doesn't look very good. It's not terrible. It is sweetened with sucralose. I don't have any particularly negative feelings about artificial sweeteners. I just don't like the taste of sucralose. That bar wasn't too bad. Made me thirsty. The only reason I'm doing that is not because I think I need the fuel while I'm on the bike ride. Because if you watch any of my past videos, you know I'm a believer in the science behind fat being your body's primary source of fuel during endurance exercise. Watched another fantastic video about that yesterday that talked about the body's actual need for carbohydrates. And admittedly there is one, but in very, very small amounts. So much that the 4 grams of net carbs in that bar and the 20 grams of sugar in my Body Armor drink are probably good enough for days. But the reason why I'm doing it is another video I watched. It is amazing how much of my life's decisions are based on stuff I watched on YouTube. Man, it doesn't always work out. From time to time, there's some nuggets in there, which I hope is what you guys get from these videos. That fat guy on the bike is just talking nonsense. But every now and then, if you listen real hard and pay real close attention, he'll say something important. I'm doing it because one of the other cycling channels I like is Bulletproof Cycling, and the coach on that channel does a great job. And one of his philosophies or principles, cyclists eat far too little when they're on their bike and far too much when they're off. And his theory is if you consume some calories on the bike, that when you're off the bike later in the day, you will consume less. And I haven't noticed that's been a big problem for me. I do find on Saturdays, maybe I am a little bit hungrier, probably because I get up and burned 1,000 calories in the morning, but it's controllable. But I thought to myself, there's probably no harm in trying. Even if I have 400 or 500 calories when I'm on the bike, and even if those calories are mostly sugar, the 1,000 calories I burn while I'm on the bike, or 1,200 if I can get up to 2 hours, far outweighs it. Still a net loss. But if that intake of food slows down my appetite for the rest of the day, I'll eat less for the rest of the day, which will make sticking to the portion control much easier. So I don't think there's a negative to trying it. Worst case scenario, it does nothing. Best case scenario, it makes Steve less hangry throughout the day. Not that I get hangry. My portion controls are still more than reasonable for a fellow of my size. But it was interesting. The other thought was that I brought 2 of those bars with me, which gives me a 42 gram of protein jump on the rest of my day. Now, I'm not counting these calories or macros as part of my daily eating plan, but in the back of my mind, I know that if I clock in at 210, 220 grams of protein today, I'm actually closer to 250. We're gonna make a little turn off the parkway up here, just because there's something I wanna see. We drove past it yesterday, and my editing workflow is gonna tell me to cut this part out, because it'll claim it's not relevant to the fitness and weight loss journey. But I think it's important to the life journey, and especially as we're exploring North America, as we're doing this, there is a bit of a travel element to my videos. And I'm not as well versed on this part of American history as I would like to be. I'm sure any American elementary school student, any 5th grader, could run circles around me. But that turn just in front of us right there takes us to the death and burial site of Meriwether Lewis, a rather notable figure in American history. But I thought in the interest of history, Meriwether Lewis, Natchez Trace Parkway. So even if the algorithm does tell me to cut this part out, I'm gonna leave it in. History is important. There's lessons there that we need to learn. We're still here for a couple more weeks, so I think we'll do a little homeschool trip, a little field trip with the kids. And it's cool things like this that you get to come across, though, that take a little bit of the monotony out of these long bike rides. As an example, I don't know how much value this is gonna have for my YouTube channel, riding through a historical site like this. I'm sure some of you will find it interesting. But for me, I'm out here on a bike ride. I'm supposed to just do a slow, easy bike ride today. And nothing breaks it up like riding through something like this. This is fantastic. Learn a little bit about history, appreciate the work that goes into preserving a place like this. And by the time I'm done and get back out to the main road, I bet I've knocked 20 minutes off this ride and it disappeared in an instant because my mind is not on necessarily the bike ride. I'm just putting in the pedal strokes. My brain's taking in the history. Maybe a tip there, speaking of those nuggets the fat guy comes up with from time to time. If you find your bike rides are boring or your cardio is boring, try doing it in someplace more interesting. I know that's easy to say as a guy that lives on the road and can go pretty much wherever he wants. But look around you. There is history abound. And if you're not big into history, change. Get big into history. Because if you want to know where the future's taking us, just look at where we've been. Many things have changed over the course of human history, but human behavior is not one of them. That's the same now as it was the day God created us. That's amazing. The southern terminus of Natchez Trace is 386 miles away, and the northern terminus is 57 miles in this direction. So what's that, 425, 430 miles end to end? Doesn't seem like a lot. We towed the RV that in a day now. But can you imagine that journey in the early 1800s? We may be more technologically advanced in the future, but they were a lot tougher than we'll ever be. Nice rig. Yep, 6.5% grade. It's been the better part of a kilometer already. I think I see the top, but we have to stop for a minute. Catch our breath and maybe get a good picture for the thumbnail. Coming onto the home stretch now, probably a kilometer, maybe a kilometer and a half from the entrance to the RV park. Then there's that 2-kilometer ride back to the RV site with all the hills.
I was sitting there.
That is one of the big problems with RVs on these little back roads, is low bridges. There's the entrance to the RV park. That wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be. It's the first time I've ever had to get off my bike and walk it up the hill because I just could not crank the pedals fast enough to even get moving. Hey, where are you going?
We're going to the water park.
What water park?
So the thing in the water is open.
Okay, why don't you meet me back at the trailer? I'll change and come with you. Saved by the bell. I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Coach is going down to the inflatable water park and I would like to go with her, but I know she's got something else at 2 o'clock. So we are 29.12 kilometers in. We're at 1 hour and 38 minutes and I don't feel like tackling this 12% grade. So hopefully you made it this far in the video. Thanks everybody for watching. I really appreciate the support and the comments and all the encouragement. Please keep it up. And I'll see you guys again next week for another Real Talk Saturday bike ride. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.